Have you ever noticed something strange? Nothing in your life seems obviously wrong. Yet something feels quietly missing. From the outside everything looks fine, but inside something feels reduced. You wake up each morning and move through familiar routines. You complete tasks without resistance and without excitement. Days work, but they do not stay with you. There is no strong emotion. No deep sadness, no real joy. Just a flatness, a muted sense of being alive that is hard to describe. You are not unhappy and you are not suffering. You are functioning, stable, and capable. But you are not fulfilled and you are not fully here. You respond when spoken to and smile when expected. You play your role and keep going because nothing hurts enough to stop. There is no pain to point at, no crisis to explain, no dramatic moment that forces a question. Life continues and responsibilities remain. Identity stays intact and routines keep working. So the question never gets asked. Most people never talk about this state because there is no dramatic story behind it. No clear collapse, no visible failure, no obvious reason. So it stays unnamed and unexamined, quietly shaping how life is experienced. This is not depression. Depression feels heavy and announces itself clearly. What you are experiencing is quieter and easier to dismiss. It does not pull you down, it slowly disconnects you. This is emotional numbness. Emotional numbness does not mean you feel nothing. It means you feel less, with less intensity and less contrast. Joy appears briefly and fades quickly. Sadness feels distant and incomplete. Anger never fully arrives and calm never fully settles. Emotions stop leaving a mark. Experiences happen but do not stay. Moments pass without depth and memory loses texture. Life keeps happening around you but it no longer moves through you. You remember events but forget how they felt. You recall conversations but not the emotional tone. Something essential has gone quiet. At first this numbness feels like stability and control rather than loss. You are no longer overwhelmed and no longer shaken easily. You become efficient, predictable, and reliable. You function well and perform consistently. You do what needs to be done. Because things work, you assume this state is healthy, until the emptiness becomes noticeable. From an evolutionary perspective, this response makes sense. It is not a malfunction of the mind. The nervous system evolved for short bursts of danger followed by rest. Stress was temporary and recovery was guaranteed. Emotions rose and fell naturally, allowing the system to return to balance. The modern world removed the recovery phase. Stimulation never stops and information keeps coming. Expectations keep rising and pressure becomes constant. The system adapts not by collapsing, but by dulling. Sensitivity becomes costly and awareness becomes exhausting. When stimulation is constant, the brain reduces emotional amplitude. Dopamine responses flatten and emotional spikes soften. The system chooses stability over depth. Biologically, this looks like regulation. Subjectively, it feels like emptiness and distance from experience. Your body conserves energy and your mind avoids overload. Emotions are turned down to survive. What feels like numbness is often chronic nervous system fatigue rather than emotional failure. A system that has been active for too long learns to mute signals. Socially, this state is reinforced every day. Productivity is rewarded more than presence. Being busy is valued more than being aware. Output matters more than experience. You are encouraged to keep moving, achieving, and adapting without pause. Emotions that slow you down become inconvenient. Reflection becomes inefficient and sensitivity becomes a liability. So you learn to mute parts of yourself, not consciously but consistently. In small decisions, daily habits, and what you allow yourself to feel. At first this muting feels temporary. You tell yourself you will reconnect later when life slows down. But life rarely slows and the muting becomes automatic. You stop checking in with yourself and stop asking how you feel. You stop noticing the difference between functioning and living. The habit becomes invisible and numbness becomes normal. What once felt adaptive now feels quietly limiting. Over time this numbness begins to affect how you see yourself. Not dramatically and not all at once, but quietly and steadily. You stop feeling like a participant and start feeling like an observer. You watch yourself live instead of living directly, present but distant. You notice it in small moments when something good happens and the reaction feels delayed. When something meaningful occurs and fades too quickly. When you realize you are supposed to feel something but do not. This creates confusion because you still care and still think. You still want things, but the emotional signal is weak and inconsistent. So you begin to question yourself and your inner experience. You wonder if this is maturity or emotional control. If this is what adulthood feels like. You tell yourself you are just practical now, more realistic and less reactive. But something feels off beneath the surface. The inner dialogue becomes quieter, not calmer. Less curious and less engaged with your own experience. You stop asking what you want, what matters, and what feels meaningful. Not because the answers are gone, but because the questions feel distant and unnecessary. Cognitively this creates a subtle split between understanding and feeling. You know what you should value, but you no longer feel connected to it. Values become concepts rather than experiences. Meaning becomes something you can explain but not feel. Identity begins to thin, not collapse and not disappear, but lose texture. You still know who you are, but it feels descriptive rather than lived. A list of traits and roles you maintain. When emotion is muted, identity becomes procedural. You act according to expectation and choose based on logic. You move forward without inner resistance and without inner depth. Without emotional feedback, choices lose resonance. Decisions feel correct but empty. Life becomes navigational rather than lived. Efficient but distant, stable but shallow. Philosophers describe this state as alienation rather than illness. A separation between action and meaning. Between behavior and inner life. Between existence and awareness. When life becomes a series of reactions, awareness slowly recedes. Not because it is destroyed, but because it is no longer invited. Meaning does not disappear suddenly, it erodes moment by moment. You begin to fill time rather than inhabit it. Distractions become background noise and stimulation replaces reflection. Silence becomes uncomfortable because silence creates space. Space allows feeling, and feeling has been avoided for a long time. So the cycle continues with more input and more movement. Less presence and less depth. But numbness is not emptiness. It is compression. Emotion held under pressure and awareness constrained to function. Nothing inside you is gone or broken. Your system adapted to survive an environment that never pauses. It learned efficiency and control. And that adaptation worked, until it cost too much. Because adaptation without reflection becomes disconnection. And protection without awareness becomes isolation, even from yourself. The signal of numbness is not asking you to feel more. It is asking you to slow down and create space. Not dramatic attention and not urgent action, but gentle awareness that allows experience to return. The path forward is not forcing emotion or chasing intensity. It is not fixing yourself or changing who you are. It is allowing experience again without demand or pressure. Reducing noise and creating pauses. Letting the nervous system settle naturally. When safety returns, feeling returns. Not all at once and not dramatically. In fragments, moments, and subtle shifts. A reaction that lingers longer and a moment that feels more present. Presence restores what force cannot. Awareness reconnects what suppression hides. Feeling returns when it is allowed rather than forced. This process is quiet and often invisible, but real. Emotional numbness is not the end of feeling. It is a message and a reminder that something inside you is still alive. Still responsive, still capable, still waiting. Not to be overwhelmed or fixed, but to be heard. Because the deepest journey is not toward stimulation. It is toward awareness. And the most important reconnection is not with the world, but with yourself.